Today we are going to make a custom 3D printable box, so let's get cracking. Start by visiting Tinkercad.com. It is a website. You can simply choose sign in with Google. To create a new design, we can simply click right here and choose 3D design. I like to start by naming projects. We're going to call this box, and I'm going to put 26 after it to match the year. Now I'm going to show you real quick my old style. If we search shapes and we type soft and press enter, we get the soft box. This little guy is fantastic. You can set the walls. All you do is type the numbers and it adjusts. But sometimes it takes a while for it to snap. I've grown frustrated by that, so I'm going to show you how to make one from scratch using the sweet new sketch tool. I'm also going to show you how we can get a better fit this way as well. Start by bringing out the sketch tool and let's drop it right in this grid mark. Notice it was 20 by 20. The center line was right there. If you've never used Sketch before, make sure you check the details up here. This has all the cool things we can do with Sketch, and you can check it out at your leisure. It is also where they update it with new features. When you're done, you simply click the X. If you prefer my tutorials, check this bit.ly up here to see my full playlist. Now here's how we're going to build our tiny printable box. This is 0, 0. We're going to move over here 10 millimeters, and we're going to go up 5 millimeters. Notice it shows you those dimensions. Now we're going to move over 5 millimeters, but we're going to hit number 2 to switch to a Bezier curve. And at this spot, we're going to click, hold, and twist. When you drag this out, notice I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 millimeters or 4 millimeters to find the curve I want for this project. Of course, now we can go back 5 and 5. And then we're going to do the same thing with going down 5. Click, hold, and twist to find that same angle. Now I'm going to choose that I want to go to the 5 millimeter mark, and I'll adjust this one after. I'm going to go the full 10 this time. Notice we can see the dimensions, so it makes it nice and easy. Of course, there's that 5 and then this 5. Click, hold, and twist to make it so they match. Notice that's the 5 spot that we're using for both. 6 would look like that. You can adjust to find what you want for the box that you're creating. Whatever you pick, though, make sure you keep them the same. Once again, 10, go up 5, click, hold, and twist. Notice on this side, it's a vertical move, and I'm actually going to go to the 6 mark and connect it. Now we can double click to edit. Let's check this measurement right here. Remember, I did 5, so now I'm going to just move it to 6. Now they match. Let's check this one, find the handle. Also did 5. There's my 6. Check this handle. There's 6. And finally check this handle. And I did 6. So this is our box. Notice we use these curves to make them so they match. You've got a good visual clue that they match here. And let's hit Finish Sketch. I'm going to change this thickness to 1 and press enter. That's the bottom of the box. Now I'm going to do Control D. Double click to edit. Does not matter which one you went in. We're just going to pick one of them. And I'm going to make this a stroke. I'm going to put it on the outside of the box. And I'm going to choose a thickness of 1.5 and press enter. When we hit Finish Sketch, bang, you have just created a box. I'm going to choose to make this 15 millimeters high because we are going to do some print testing to get the exact fit you want. I am going to alert you, this is going to be a 2-part project. Today we're going to make this tiny box to master the fit that you need for your projects, and then after that we'll do a larger project that a user requested. So the next step is to make this so that we can slide a lid on. I'm going to do Control D on this one. We're going to edit the sketch. When we get in here, we're simply going to switch this one to be the inside. I'm also going to change it to 1 millimeter so it's not quite as thick. I'm going to hit Finish Sketch, and I want to give it some room to grip, so I'm going to make it 10 millimeters taller. Remember how this was 15? I'm going to simply take this one, and I'm going to make it 25. So let's quickly make the top. If we grab all 3, Control D, Shift nudge to move it over, we can simply click on this part and hit delete, and this will slide over, although it's going to be really tight. To make it easier to remove, I'm going to add a cylinder and I'm going to cruise it right on the face. I'm going to grab Shift and one handle, stretch it to any number, but then we're going to type 15 and press Enter. I'm going to put one of these on both sides, so let's do Control D and Shift Nudge to get it to the other side. Let's line them up by doing L for align, click on the blue one, and we want to choose Center and Top. Now we're going to grab both of these, Shift Select. Grab the handle, lift it up, but in the number, we're going to simply type 10 for how high it raised up. I'm going to take this and set it to 0.5, and I'm going to take this and set it to 0.5. That's how thick they're going to stick in. And then we can just Shift Select the two, L for align, make the blue one the boss, and we want it to be to that edge. Once again, grab these two. I'm going to just grab the corner, double check it says two shapes. It does. L for align. Make this one the boss, and bang, we want it to be right there. This needs to drop to the bottom. I accidentally grabbed it a moment ago. Now we can grab all of these parts and do Control G to group. This will flip over and it'll slide over there, although it's going to be real tight. Let's do Control D and we'll Shift Nudge and move that over. That's going to be the tightest one. Let me show you how to make one that's a little more loose. We're simply going to grab this piece, do Control D, move it over. Of course, I'm going to select it, do the L for align, and let's get it back to the exact spot. Bang, bang. Now we're going to take this and we're going to make it a hole, and then we're going to double click it, and then we just need to change its stroke. So currently it has got a width of 1. We're going to set it to 0.1. That's the smallest we can do, and then we're going to change it to the center line. So if we zoom in, this is going to trim 0.5 millimeter on every side. Depending on how accurate your printer is, that may be the absolute perfect size. I am going to adjust how much this does cut. Remember, this piece is size 10, so I'm just going to make this 10. And then if we Shift Select the two, I can choose L for align, and I want to make sure that part comes up to the top. So we're going to select those two and do Control G to group them. So we have just trimmed off a tiny bit. You can even see the amount we trimmed off with that little ridge right there. I'm going to do Control D again. Move this one over as well. I'm going to put notes on these. N is for note. I'm going to call this the 0.5 trim. Put an N over here. This is going to be exact. On this one, we're going to double click. So we're in the edit mode. That's what this pink means. Then we're going to double click on that part. Now we cannot go smaller than 0.1 on the stroke, but check this out. We can click on our shape, and instead of 20.12, we can do 20.06. So I'm just taking away half of that distance, 20.06. When I click outside, it is still lined up. When I hit Finish Sketch and double click outside, we have just made a tinier trim. So we've got 3 different versions. Let's quickly make a note on this one. This is going to be the 20.06 setting. And I have printed all these, and I'm going to show them all to you. But right now, I'm just going to show you how to print these two. Select them, choose Export. We're going to make an STL. I'm going to call this box 26, and I'm going to put 0.06, and I'm going to save the changes. Now you can bounce to Bamboo Lab Studio, create a brand new project. Let's add that file. There's my 0.06. I'm going to switch to my red filament change, and I want the Bamboo PLA. I'm going to use my 0.2 standard settings, slice late, notice 20 minutes, and let's print and send. And not much more than 15 minutes later, we've got an awesome little box. Let's go test it. All right, so here we are. This is the exact fit, and I cannot get this one off unless I use pliers. Now, I did make one a little bigger, and after a little bit of while, it came off. So it is super snug, and it is usable, but you need to work it a little bit. Here we are, same project. This is the second one we built, where it's got the full 0.5 millimeter on every side. Zips on, stays on, but pretty easy to pull off. This is the one we built last. It has a nice sticky attachment, yet we can still get it off. The more you fiddle with it, the better it's gonna get. But as you can see, it does work, and of course, it's gonna stay attached. And if you're looking for other fun, don't forget the sweet pass-through fidgets. Of course, you can check that bit.ly as well. So real quickly, now you've got a technique to make simple boxes, choose the wall thickness, and a way to make a lid. Once you've mastered this with a square shape, you can also do it with curved shapes. You just use the same one again and again, trim off a little bit of the edge with that center line trick, and bang, you're ready to go. Of course, it's really important to practice with a small one so you know the tolerances you need for your 3D printer. I do want to quickly say thank you to everybody that supports me via YouTube memberships. Don't forget there are 3 different levels of support starting as low as $5 a month. With any level of support, you get early access to videos. Please make sure you pay attention to the members only posts to get the most out of your membership as well. Also, a massive shout out to everybody that supports me via Patreon. We are almost up to 350 members. It has a fantastic messaging area where you can ask questions, post designs, gain skills. Of course, you can learn more with the bit.ly up above or the link in the description. Finally, friends, I want to thank you for watching. Don't forget every time you like, hype, share a video, add a comment down below, or click subscribe. You're helping HLModTech get just a little bit bigger, which absolutely makes my day. Friends, have a glorious day, and keep tinkering.